Wait, who's starting? Are you starting? Do you want me to start?
I'll start.
Okay, go for it.
How's it going, guys? Excited to review your thumbnails, hear what questions you have. We were making this video that we published this morning. It was just endless. And we intended for it to be a really big video, but it wasn't the kind of video that you want to be long and have to figure out ways to fill up. We still had to find ways to cut back. We kept saying, well, maybe this will be a aspect of a future thumbnail video that goes into more detail because it feels almost endless. So I think we'll really be able to help you even if you watched the entire video and hopefully give you some more insight on your thumbnails that maybe you're not thinking of, or more specific examples on how to apply what you learned from the video for your thumbnail specifically.
Yep. So welcome. What we'd love to do is spend most of this time here today literally looking at your thumbnails. So go ahead and post in the chat your channel or a specific video. It might not like links. I think I have it so that you can post links, but I'm not sure. Oh, we got JetCast Pod. That's a channel that we could look at.
Okay.
I guess before we jump in, I'll give a brief, just tell you real quick about something that we're doing right now. So this isn't thumbnails, but this is going to help level up your YouTube game. We have put together a 10-day challenge. Every single day for 10 days, there's a specific exercise you're going to do. And the goal of this challenge is to help you level up your on-camera skills. Essentially, mostly to help you get more comfortable being on camera so that your personality can shine through how you want it to. And you'll probably like how you look on camera better by the end of it, just because you're going to, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with what you're doing. So that's going on right now. There's a link to that in the description. We're about to start that. It's going to start November 4th, but you can get ready for it now. You can actually go join the community for it now. I see Diabetic Game Guy, you're here. He's in there. You can go jump into there and kind of get ready to go so that you're ready for the 4th. So, yeah. All right. Okay. We got JetCast Pod. All right.
Yeah, and then we'll go to Diabetic Game Guy because you were technically first, but I pulled up JetCast Pod. Okay. These are pretty cool. So I wish we were screencasting here, but
yeah.
How would we? Is there a fast way to do that?
There's a screen share here.
We have to do it on that computer, huh?
All right. I got to pull open a tab real quick. And
so I'll tell you my thoughts while he's pulling that up.
Absolutely. You can have this if you want.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And we have this recipe here. So this is a printable worksheet, downloadable worksheet, where you can figure out where you are at on the recipe page. So like a concept bar from literal to exaggerated. In the case of thumbnails, exaggerated is often. It doesn't have to be clickbait just because it's exaggerated. A lot of the big YouTubers do it. The number of objects, few is better. Colors, few is also usually better to an extent. Text, less is better. And then these tools. So sometimes I was testing it out on one of my thumbnails the other day that I know isn't very good. And I was curious what it said because the thumbnail is quite simple. So it kind of checked all the boxes on this part, but it didn't have enough of these elements. So you want to make sure you're lower on the scale over here if possible, and also these elements covered as well. Anyways, we might be using this, but my first thought on this channel is actually
just click cancel and then start again. The little markup button right there.
Perfect. Thank you. That's way faster than erasing. So for this JetCast Pod channel, the words stand out pretty well. I like the colors. I would say that if you could think of a more open-ended phrase for the thumbnail. So I don't know exactly what these videos are about, but you got still got it or we suck again. And that's kind of giving away the whole video in the text. Now I know a lot of people already watch these games, and so maybe they know what the commentary is going to be, but could it be why we sucked or something, that's intriguing? Like, oh yeah, why did we win this time when we've been having a bad streak or something like that, so that the text creates more intrigue instead of almost answering their question before they've clicked.
I think that's a big thing is you don't want the thumbnail to really give away the video. You want it to create more curiosity. The other thing I think that stands out to me is, and I know this is hard with, because you're doing a good job of grabbing a good image, but obviously you're not like able to go take your own photos, right? And so, but as often as possible, if with the imagery of the thumbnail, we can give more
Oh, we
of the
lost our
story.
video completely.
Oh, they can't see the screencast, huh? Well, okay. Well, it told me it was screencasting. I'm sorry. Well, okay. You guys can go look at JetCast Pod.
Yeah, just open another tab and look at the thumbnails.
Just
If you
go
want
look
to know
at
what we're
the
talking
thumbnails.
about.
But as often as possible, if the image itself can evoke the curiosity or tell the story for the thumbnail, that's better. And so I look at a lot of these and it's like, no show Reddick. It's like, okay, cool. We got a picture of him, but what do we do? What if instead, like where he is, you just like did a white silhouette cutout or something? So you know what I mean? Like it's giving you this feeling, and it would be hard in that image to do it, but and make it clear what it is you were doing. But as often as possible, that's what we want to do.
Yeah. All right, should we go diabetic game
Yeah,
guy?
let's do it.
And if you guys have follow-up questions, if you get to the chat before we move on, then ask them. Okay.
So here, let me just go to all videos so we can see them in order. Honestly, the first thing I notice is that it's just the same photo in each one. Which, that's not the end of the world, but
One problem with that can be that people that aren't as familiar with your thumbnails as you are, because you've been looking at them for hours, will think that maybe they've already seen it because it's too recognizable. You want some level of repeat recognition. But unless your thumbnails are very different, you'll notice some people can get away with this. Like Mr. Beast had the same picture for a year, but the background of his thumbnails were so different. The topics were so different that people don't think, did I already see this one? Whereas for us and channels like you, when the topics aren't as wildly different as I survived in a jungle to I bought a grocery store, you usually can benefit from changing that image.
Yeah. The other thing I notice is a lot of them on the imagery, you're using charts and stuff. So this is an example where on our scorecard, we have the concept from literal to exaggerated. You're literally showing YouTube analytics graph. And that's recognizable to us who do YouTube. Like we know that looks like an analytics graph. But if you could take and make something that was a little bit less literal, but showed was showing the growth. But here what I'm seeing is like really tiny writing because you are taking the actual graph and putting it into a little thumbnail. And so, you can mock something up that is obviously not the literal YouTube analytics graph, but that shows the same concepts, if that makes sense. And so oftentimes that's where, like visually, it's just going to be what we're trying to show is like you grew from 0 to 5,000 subscribers. That's what you're trying to show. So can you show that with a visual that just is easier to see, if that makes sense? And I noticed that in several. When you try to show like a graph or something in the thumbnail, it usually ends up just too small. But if we, again, could just mock something up that has a similar look and evokes that same feeling, that's going to work better. All right. Yeah, now we got a bunch of them. We've got comeback period.
I'd love to be able to show the videos.
I know.
Screen share them. I don't know why it isn't working. And keep going. Well,
yep.
Maybe we could figure it out.
There it is, the Brandon Anderson Network. Yeah, we'll keep going, and if we figure it out.
Okay.
All right, we got sports here. Let's see. One thing that I'm noticing is that the red writing on a lot of these, and again, this is the Brandon Anderson Network is the channel name, the handle at comeback period. The red writing there on the red background. It doesn't stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the text that's under that is so small on a thumbnail. Again, I don't know what it says.
Which is an
Like,
easy mistake to make.
Yeah, super easy.
That's what the whole intro of our video this morning was about. It's like when you have it pulled up big on your computer and you're looking at it for 2 hours, it feels like it's easy to see. We forget what it's going to look like on the home screen. So I'd say less elements and fewer elements, so you can make those fewer elements bigger when you have less of
Yes.
them. You end up with more white space. It just pops more. Again, even if it looks good on the home screen, or good, when it's blown up big, it usually won't stop people's eyes on the home screen as well if you have too many elements.
Yeah. There's one here where it says right on the front, Oregon becomes first approved expansion. First of all, the word expansion, the red is too dark on the background that you have. But also the background is, it's an aerial view of this town, right? The city. Looks pretty, but it's too much, right? It's too many things happening there that are all in focus. So if you kind of just blurred that a little bit, or just kind of put a little bit of a white, or a light colored filter over the top, essentially you could just literally make a white rectangle and then make it like only 20% opaque or something like that. So it just really lightens it up, or kind of blurs it a little bit. That would make everything on the front of the thumbnail pop out a lot more. Those are a couple things that I think would make a big difference for you. Okay. All right. Then we got a lot of people, let's see. The Urban Harvest, yeah, these are all people here on the live, so go ahead. Yeah, we're trying to screencast. We tried to screencast and then we disappeared.
Do you want to try one more time, or do you think
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen?
I could try again. It tells me that it's sharing.
Yeah, I can watch it on here and see if we.
And it takes a few seconds for what we do to show up for you guys, but. Because yeah, it would be a lot easier.
Yep, just black.
Just black. All right, we're gonna stop.
It like shows black for a minute, and then it started showing right at the very end of that.
Oh, just need to wait for a second.
I just turned it off. We're gonna screen share. It's gonna be black for a minute, but we'll keep talking, and then
apparently after some delay,
it'll show up. So there's YouTube's screen sharing feature for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Dave.
Let's see. So we got Urban Harvest. Is that where we're at next?
Yep, let's do that one.
Urban Harvest DFW. Oops. Got to spell it correctly.
Yeah, it's working now.
Okay.
Cool.
Hey, that's cool.
Very bad.
Took 3 tries, but we're here. Okay. Well, what do you think? Should we do the recipe card?
Yeah, let's do the recipe card. Let's just see
All
how
right.
this works.
So, which one do we pick?
Maybe we do the versus one.
In-ground versus raised beds.
The third one over.
So it's the third one over. Concept. Is this literal or exaggerated? Pretty literal, I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't created a fake or a mocked up.
Yeah. The image on the left is a little hard to see, but that looks pretty large. I don't know if that's actually their, I would say it's not their property, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Still pretty close
On
to
the literal.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there we go.
Red maybe stands out more. Okay.
Red highlighter. Okay, and then objects. That's, I think, where you're saying on the one on the left is kind of hard to see.
There aren't
It's not that there's tons of
technically
objects.
too many objects. I mean, we didn't usually call it background image an object, but
I guess that's part of it though, is because like the garden is the subject, so it's not just background. I think that's part of the problem. Is like, so now the whole thumbnail is subject. I think that's where we get lost here.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I would almost count the garden in this instance as a subject, half subject. So and on both sides. So you have the raised bed, it's kind of like one, and then on the in-ground, it's kind of like one because your brain has to process what both of those things are.
Right.
And that's kind of the point of fewer subjects, is how much, negative space there is, how much you're able to process it. So we're going to say, I'd say raised bed is 2, verses is 1, in-ground is 1, and then the 2 gardens. So maybe like 5 to 6.
Yeah. And then colors. There's not too many colors. There's some different shades here, but we got a lot of green, brown, white.
A little bit of red.
And then the red verses. So yeah, like 4 main colors ish. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then text, we've got 5 words. That maxes out our scorecard here.
Yeah, we're kind of picky.
We're picky about that. So, and this is really nice to have this now. But you can see kind of where you land, and most of it's a little bit far to the right. Too many objects, too much text, probably. And then in terms of the tools, text. So this is a place where one of the tools is like layers and making it like 3D. So where the whole picture is the subject, that's something that could have fixed this. So like if we had a raised bed, right? And we had a little garden plot, right? And they were kind of level in terms of vertically on the thumbnail, if that makes sense, maybe. And then whatever was kind of background behind them should be very, very simple. I mean, even just green grass. And that might not be a photo you can just take. It might be something that you have to sort of mock up, that you have to put together in pieces. And that's where the layering would work.
And yeah, do layering, cut it out from the background, and then change the background or make it stand out more.
Yeah.
Another thing is, if you could get this really intriguing, I don't think you need the verses on the thumbnail. You could just have like a white border, so it's clear that each side is half. No, I don't think you do have a border there. It's pretty easy to just make a border. You just use a rectangle, make it really long and skinny, and then put it in between. And that kind of makes it more obvious that it's like a before and after or comparison kind of thing versus kind of thing. You could have the text like better ? On one side, or which is better. I would probably go with just better. And then explain more in your title. I'm not really talking about that titles right now. Let's do one more on this channel.
With the better, would you do better like than ?
Yeah,
that way, because if you just wrote like better on the raised bed side, then you're answering the question, but it's like better.
It's better.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it's good to do another one because we actually have kind of several different. Because some of these I think are better than others. And they're not all like in one style. So, you have one in particular?
Yeah, go for it.
What about this one? Best hydroponics ever.
Yeah.
So this one, there is literally like, there's words but one subject.
Yep. So we got 3 words. And I think they can't really see when we hold up because it's in this tiny little corner, but.
Yeah. Oh, right. So we don't really need to hold it up.
We only have really a couple colors, especially if we don't count neutrals.
Right.
So I'd say maybe 2.5 colors. And then concept, quite literal.
Yeah, it is.
Objects. Really, I'd say maybe 2 because we got the text and then we got the object. The literal object. Okay, and then if we go over to the tool section of the recipe card, again, you guys can download this if you want to use your own recipe card. So for the tools, color palette, I'd say we have that one pretty good. Text. You have text. I think we could add more intrigue to it.
Again, that text kind of it gives it away. It's like, okay. And you've
Yeah.
even tagged like which one it is in the title. So it's
Yeah.
like, this is the best one, and it's this one. Okay, thanks. Now, like, do I need to watch the video now?
I know it seems counterintuitive because in your mind, you know how much more information is in that video.
Yes.
And you're thinking, yes, you still need to watch the video because I'm going to convince you why. I'm going to tell you why it's better than the other ones. I'm going to tell you what's so great about it, how to use it, all these other things that are probably in that video. But for some reason, like if you just try to notice your own behavior on YouTube, if something's too obvious, you're just less likely to click it. And, you know, you might not even quite believe me right now because I know I would have thought, well, no, I don't want clickbait. I want to know what I'm going to get. I'm a practical person. But that's just not how psychology works on YouTube. It's just, for some reason, it's like if they don't kind of get you, and I know what they're doing, right? I do this every day.
Yeah.
I know that they are trying to have something intriguing to try to get me to click, and it might not be any better than this other video that's more straightforward, and it still gets me because it's like, well, I do want that question answered now. It's this unsatisfied part of your brain. So I'd say also making the hydroponic bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, too much negative space here.
Yeah. Which is great. You're on the better end of where most people are.
Absolutely,
Most
yes.
people do not enough. So just blowing that up a little more so it's easier to see. I like that the background's very plain. I think the background contrasts pretty well with the hydroponics. Yeah. Anything else you say?
I think that probably covers it pretty well. All right. Who's next? Is it Dave Jeffrey in Niagara?
Yes, we are pulling from the chat here.
Here, Dave Jeffrey in Niagara.
Okay.
So we've got a pretty standard format here. You know, we've got the falls here on the left, the words across the top. To me, the words here feel more like a kind of a second title, which is not an uncommon way to do thumbnails. I guess the first thing that I'm thinking of is, I mean, these feel like, you know, a good image that goes with the video probably, but I'm not getting a curiosity piece.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagery wise, I think the bright color at the top, I mean, they kind of pop pretty well.
Yeah. It's a little hard to tell for me what the images are.
Uh-huh.
Like, especially next to the Blue Falls.
That's true.
So, like, the Niagara history, and then it's a woman with something in the background, but I can't really tell. The background is the same color as her, so you can't really
That's
see
true.
her as well.
Yeah, I cannot tell that that's about the suspension bridge or...
I don't think you need to have falls in every thumbnail.
I agree.
If you can make it clear in the titles like you have been, even at the top border there like you're doing. I think the falls kind of just complicates it a little bit.
It also makes it kind of limits your color palette for your other images, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these, you know, the pretty kind of blues and stuff that you've got there don't go very well with the rest of the imagery. So it's just taking up more than a third of the space you have for other stuff.
And I also wouldn't assume that your audience that hasn't found you yet is only people that are interested in Niagara Falls. So you have this car show one, and you're saying, definitely showing this Niagara Falls. You're saying car show in Niagara, USA. What if it just looked like an image of a car show, maybe something interesting in like a red circle, like showing what's interesting about that car or whatever, and then text on the thumbnail, or maybe better in the title, that says why this is the best car show, or
Yeah.
this car show is hugely unrelated. Maybe people don't even know it's in Niagara Falls until they click. But people that are interested in car shows might end up seeing that and then want to go to Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know. This is kind of an interesting audience. It's getting into another topic, but you're going to have to draw audience from other places than people who are just interested in Niagara Falls, probably, to get a healthy channel.
I think that's true. One important principle, and we mentioned this in the video from earlier today, but one thing that you could do is like, what's one of the most interesting kind of concepts or events from the video? So like the car show, like what was it about the car show? And then make the image something that evokes that feeling, even if it's not literally a photo from the car show.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is part of a photo from a car show, but now you're going to do some stacking and layering and stuff to craft together something that evokes a feeling, or again, something intriguing and that points to something that'll happen in the video, but isn't necessarily what the whole video is about.
Good point.
And so I think maybe that's part of it, is that a lot of these thumbnails do kind of feel a bit just on the nose, like, oh, historic Buffalo. Okay, like what's something really cool that happened in Buffalo's history that maybe you could mention in the video that would make for a really interesting image, and then that's the thumbnail.
Yeah. And your research when you're trying to plan a video and thumbnail is going to be a little different than other people's, because if you're making one about a car show in Niagara Falls, you're not going to just keep researching how people are making thumbnails for videos on Niagara Falls. You're going to want to look at how people are making thumbnails for car shows, how people are making thumbnails for history videos. You'll see with history videos, it's absolutely, they will point out one crazy thing, like this was the best, why was this the best pilot in history, or something that, I don't know why. It's not just the best pilot in history, hardly ever. So use that with each of these different topics. What do people like about shopping? Totally different than what people like about learning about history, right? Yeah. So use that to your advantage. So,
yep. I've been taken in by like history videos because the thumbnail was just like, I need to know. Like, and then it turns out it's like 15 seconds of the whole video that covers that, but it got me, Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to go to Live the Santa Cruz Life.
Someone asked if we're planning to do the longer short form. I'll answer that way, finding.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. We're nervous about it, but we want to test it for you guys.
Exactly. We're going to try it. It was supposed to be available on the 15th. I made a longer short, and as of right now, it still just gets treated as a long form video. And so far what we've heard is YouTube's like, go ahead and publish it, and later we'll add it to the short shelf. I'm like, no, I don't want it to mess up my analytics for my long form videos. I don't want you to ever treat it as a long form. If it's not available yet, just tell us and we'll wait. So
YouTube's fun like that.
Yeah.
They like to release things prematurely.
It'll be out on the 15th, or it won't, but eventually it'll be out. So go ahead and just pretend like it's out.
Yeah.
So there's more on that coming soon. Actually, I'm making a video about that right now.
Also, for everyone who wasn't here at the very beginning, didn't watch the entire video this morning, we're doing a on-camera challenge. It's 10 days. It'll take 10 minutes a day, and it's $10. And the whole point of it is to help you get really comfortable on camera, because we keep seeing that people who are comfortable on camera are good on camera. And there's a few other things you can add in when we're putting those in there too. So you'll be better by the end of the challenge. But I'd say more importantly, you're going to feel really comfortable on camera. Also, I don't think you can improve your skills very well when you don't feel comfortable. It's almost like one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, well, I'm going to stop saying filler words. Well, now you just sound even more unnatural because you forced yourself, right? You, instead of just naturally getting comfortable enough, you don't have to fill the blank space, the quiet time. You end up forcing it. You're like, I can't say and you sound like a robot the whole time. And so if you just start with getting comfortable, you don't have to fake it anymore. And some of these other things come more naturally. And we got a lot of really cool exercises that we planned for that. and a community, and a bonus at the end. Really
Yeah.
good deal at the end. So
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Worth way more than the $10 we're charging.
yeah, and you
It's
can sign
mostly
up
we just want to help
now.
you. Yeah, you can go sign up now, and it'll start November 4th. But sign up now. Yeah, and Nathan's here, like writing comments for us in the
Oh,
chat. So he
wonderful.
says more info in the description. You can go. There's a link to it there. You can go click over there, and you can read all about how this thing's going to work. So awesome.
All right, next one.
Yeah. So we've got this is Live the Santa Cruz Life. And I think I want to do this one here. Should I buy a house someone died in?
That's interesting.
Yeah, like the concept there is really good. It's the same words as are on it is the title, right? And I think that's a good title. I think it's too much for the thumbnail.
Yeah, and you don't hardly ever want to have the text of the thumbnail repeating with the text of the title.
Yeah.
Because a waste of words. You only get so many words between the title and the thumbnail, and so you don't want to repeat them. You want to intrigue them with the thumbnail and further convince them to click with the title. So I wonder if she could do something like, and if this were us, like we would spend probably at least 15 minutes brainstorming it.
Yeah.
Probably more. 15 minutes minimum brainstorming.
Just the concept of like the concept.
Yeah.
Just the concept.
Not even working on the thumbnail.
Not even actually like, okay, but then what's the right photo and what's the right facial expression and all. It's crazy. You can spend like one thing that comes to mind for me is like, one, I like that you've like it's a house in the background. I can tell because the windows, the light coming out the windows. I actually like that it's pretty dark because it gives it that kind of spooky feel. The hard thing with that is because you've layered a photo of yourself over the top of it, it's really hard to make the lighting kind of fit. And so I think you probably played with this a little bit, but it doesn't look very natural. Like the picture of you doesn't look like it fits in the picture with the house. And that's just because it's really hard to get the lighting right. So if you're going to take a photo for this thumbnail and you're going to use a dark house, I would literally like go into a room where you can get it really dark and just have one light like on you that's not super bright so that we can see you, but like there's just a lot more shadow and stuff, and not much fill light and everything. I think that would make it look a little bit more natural. And then I would want the house. I would want it to be I kind of feel like I would want the picture to be like almost like you were buying the house or like you just got the keys, but then you have like a freaked out facial expression, and then the words are like, someone died here or something like that. Like it would just be way more, I don't know, something that's going to give you that mystery, that intrigue, like someone died, and I see that and I don't know everything the video is about. And then I read the title.
Yeah, exactly. And then that might feel like clickbait because I didn't actually buy the house, so I can't put that, or the
Right. That's the literal part,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You can absolutely do something like that. You can just have a key and be like, because then you're evoking the emotion of someone, you're putting them into that spot of like, oh, is that how I would feel if I accidentally bought a house and I'm house hunting right now and then find out someone died in the house. And people aren't going to click on the video and be like, in the thumbnail, it looked like you bought the house. People don't do that. People are so used to this on YouTube. So it's hard to get out of that habit at first, but
right,
it'll be worth it.
You don't have to be perfectly literal. That you're talking about, should you buy a house someone died in? It's not like you bought a house someone died in, but it's okay. Like for that to be because the thumbnail is about just getting that emotion, getting them to pause, look at it and be like, oh yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to buy that house. And then anyway, now they're interested in the video.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's next?
Oh, okay. Live Chats with Diane said she commented on the other video.
We're not sweet. Like, let's do it.
Keeping track of that, but we'll go review your thumbnail. Because we did say we're prioritizing people that commented on the other video.
So, and who are here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did both of those things, then you're good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. There's again like quite a bit of variability here. So Which one should we do?
I want to take on this one, this anxiety or not,
Okay.
because it does take a couple of our boxes. So it's got not a lot of elements in
Mhm.
theory. There's a few words plus a person.
Right.
The words are really distracting from the person in this
Yes.
case. So if you could, I'm curious, are you okay? None of these are you.
Right.
Oh, except for the last one. Sorry.
It clicked. Sorry, Oh, we're back.
Okay. So if you wanted to use a picture of yourself, you could do that, or if you wanted to use this other person, try not to have the text like layering over, especially in the middle of her face. Sometimes, if you have one big obvious word, it can be layered behind the person, and as long as you can see most word, you can tell what the word is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how you could represent. Like if I were tackling this thumbnail, again, we spent a long time on thumbnails, but the first step I would take is trying to figure out what's the best way to represent anxiety. And so someone like this isn't bad, but
Right.
I wonder if you could have like almost like a prescription bottle or something, and like wrong, like something indicating that you got the wrong prescription. Like it's not just I'm anxious, it's also it was misdiagnosed or somehow
Right.
signifying that misdiagnosis. Or just somebody looking really panicked. It's kind of a generic stock image we see a lot.
Uh-huh.
So if you did just have somebody looking really panicked, adding some intriguing words, and anxiety or not is a question, but it's a little hard to comprehend. What do you think?
Yeah, I think first of all, if you wanted to simplify that, it could just be anxiety ?
Yeah.
Then you don't need the or not, and so that could help with having it not have to cover her face. But I liked that idea of like a prescription bottle, and then it's just like, I don't know. Maybe there's not the nice thing with faces with people is that we can show an emotion, and people can quickly recognize that. And so if the emotion's just right, it can be really, really impactful. And this one's not bad, right? But I don't know that it's enough to make me really. So we need something else that's going to make me curious, and that's where like anxiety ? Maybe could do that, and that might be enough to get me to look at the title. The title I think is also very good. You could be warning. You could be misdiagnosing your anxiety.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, that's a good title.
Totally.
We need to get people to look at that, and so in as few or as simple elements as possible, we want to get the curiosity going enough.
For this other one to the left of it, it says, "Are you feeling burnt out?" And it has burnout. It has you. I'd make yourself brighter so it's easier to see you. I like that you put so much emotion.
Yes.
Maybe look at the camera. That can be really good for thumbnails. You don't always have to look at the camera. In the video we published this morning, we talked about looking off the camera, but that's like to signify some kind of intrigue off camera. So for this, I would look at the camera in most cases. Again, maybe no words at all.
Yeah.
I don't think you would really need words. And then make the background contrast with you. So probably brighter you, darker background, or brighter you, but then you could even do a bright background that's a completely different color.
Yeah. Something that will help is step away from the wall. So you're like right up kind of flat against the wall. Now you could cut yourself out from there, but you're just going to get a cleaner cut if you do a remove the background or something like that. Or you can leave the wall, but it'll end up with more depth. So the wall will be less focused on when we're up flat against our background, it never looks very good.
I'll show you. Look how much space. We don't have our desk in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
Unless we're filming in any other rooms.
Like
the desk is in the middle of the room for no reason aside from that it looks
fact,
better on
like,
camera.
We're way closer to the wall in front of us than we are to the wall behind us. The depth makes things look better. That's true for filming. That's true for photography. So just being right up against a background just makes everything feel flat.
Yeah. Good point. All right. Hopefully that's helpful.
Avery's all in says they commented too.
Okay, let's do Avery's all in and then maybe.
So here, Yes It's Me Tool says, I would suggest consistency in the thumbnails. Should we address that real quick on this one before we move on?
Mhm.
So having certain elements of consistency, I totally agree with. Having a color scheme, not necessarily the same color that always pops up every time. In general, like we want certain elements, certain kind of brand elements people will recognize, right? So using the same font or a couple of fonts that are just what you use every time. Those kinds of things I think are really good. We don't necessarily need to create a template and have 2 or 3 layouts that we only use. That's not necessary, but yeah, having some elements that are consistent I think is important. If you were to go look at some really popular YouTubers, go look at like Mark Rober. There's going to be a lot of variability in the thumbnails, but you'll notice that he's basically in all of them. Like he's the common element because he's the face people are going to recognize. And there's certain the fonts, if there ever are, whenever there are words, there's going to be certain things that are consistent. So we do want consistency. We just don't want all of them to look the same.
Mhm. Someone says, Summer Beauty says, I think with the rise of AI, using your face in every thumbnail helps.
That's true too.
It's true. Maybe not every single thumbnail, but more than usual. I'd say the relationship, I was reading that thumbnail, like that relationship killers one, that would be an exception.
Oh,
But rather than using like an AI person or something.
right. Like having a simple thumbnail like that with just a couple of words.
Yeah,
that
people won't
works.
necessarily think AI, but
Yeah.
You're right. It's going that way.
All right. So Avery's all in.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Okay.
And then Nathan's gonna keep track of the comments to the best of our ability and send us which order to go in because we're like. But yeah, it would help if you have commented on the video. Also comment on this so we know that you are present at the live and that you commented on the other video.
Right.
And we'll put you in the queue.
All right.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Pretty intriguing.
Yep.
I think we can up level it a bit, but pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. So, when we say intriguing, it's like there's always you have a perfect subject, by the way, for curiosity. I bought a $110 abandoned storage unit. Here's what was inside. And so for your thumbnail, it's like starting to open it up. I think that's great. There's kind of that mystery every time. Yeah, I think we definitely want to play up on the mystery. I like here on this one, 12 plus years. Now looking at the title's too long, so it's getting truncated, but she spent over $10,000 on abandoned storage unit to hide shopping addiction.
Whoa.
So like that is a really cool, like big element from the video. Like what's the most, like the thumbnail, the 12 plus years, to me, that's not really like making me super.
Mm-mm.
That's not intriguing me a lot. So like what's something that we could visually show that would be like the most interesting thing from this video? And I'll bet
this is the kind of channel where if you just look at what other like big entertainment YouTubers are doing,
yeah,
I think you'll really get a good idea of like this is the kind of thing that like I'm trying to think of a good example.
Yeah, a lot of good entertainment.
Kind of looking at Home Scope. Hers aren't exactly like that, but even Brian Trahan, maybe it's like they often highlight that one thing in the video, like your title is highlighting. So it's a super intriguing concept,
right?
Like Ricky said.
The HSN boxes, like I think that's a good thing. Home Shopping Network. It's like, oh yeah, then there's a ton of them, but that's the background. That's not the subject, and so it didn't draw my attention. Like I have to pause on the thumbnail to notice that element, if that makes sense. So I don't think that's bad for the background, but it means that that's gonna be the background. It's kind of like Well, it's kind of like the thumbnail you just made for a different channel, but where like the
Yeah.
background is kind of a repeating thing that evokes that feeling of like, oh, there's all this shopping stuff, right? But it's not the main subject. It's a background and it's just supporting the subject. So the main subject here is you two and your facial expressions and stuff. And then the 12 plus years, to me, that's not doing a lot because I still, it's not that it's okay for me to not know what that is about, but it's just not like
it's just
piquing my
kind
curiosity.
of, yeah, it's just kind of adding to the visual clutter almost, where you're not
Yes.
noticing what it is, and so it's not really helping. I think I would almost wonder, what if you just found it might take a little bit of technical skill, but found an image of a storage unit and then cut out a bunch of money in Canva or something, stick it in the storage unit, even if it looks fake, who cares? And it's like 10K secret.
Oh yeah.
So there's not actually this money in the storage unit.
Right.
But that's kind of the literal versus exaggerated thing, is like, that's the idea in a more simple way. Or it could be like caught and somebody looking like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm caught. Like and then they read the title, the 12 years, like Ricky said.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, it's like you have to imagine just seeing that thumbnail, not knowing you haven't read the title yet.
And you haven't seen the video. Like
Right.
even reading the title, I'm just like, I still don't quite know what the 12 years, other than it was a 12 years of shopping addiction that they were hiding. Okay, now I'm piecing it together.
I wouldn't say that makes it particularly more intriguing than just
right.
Yeah.
Like what the whole video is about. So like, oh yeah, it's 12 years of stuff. Like, I don't know.
It's hard. Like even these thumbnails were like, you're doing great, but there's so much more.
There is, from a design standpoint, I like that you've kind of gone with like all these storage units have these kind of yellow off-white doors. And so you've kind of gone with this yellow. But yeah, from a color palette standpoint, I don't know that I love the green halos, but I don't know. I might just be getting picky. I think you're doing a great job in general. But I think some of these too, like the background, I'm looking at this over 600 collectibles, and the background makes it hard for me to focus on the subject. So if we could kind of blur that or fade that a little bit, things like that are just going to make whatever that most interesting element, make that be what stands out. I think that's going to level these up. All right.
Getting real distracted. Someone says, Whispering Wild Market Farm says, disagree about the fake stuff in the pics. If I watch a video and the bait items in the thumbnail are not in the video, the creator loses credit. I wonder if we're not explaining that well.
Yeah. A lot of times, so in the video today, you use the example of Ryan Trahan's penny video, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's laying there, looks like he's laying there on the ground. I don't know if he was laying down or not, but there's grass looking stuff in the picture. And then there's a penny next to his head and it's this big. That's not the point of the video. Isn't that he found a giant penny. The point of the video was it was a challenge where he gets a penny to start with. And so the penny is this main element. But if you took it literally, you'd be like, he had a giant penny. Where's the giant penny in the video, right? And so if you had a thumbnail where it maybe isn't even a storage unit, maybe you don't even show a storage unit, you just show a pile of cash, and then the words on the screen just are like $10,000 secret. You're not saying that like there was $10,000 of cash stacked somewhere.
Yeah.
You're just trying to show that there was a secret that you uncovered that was a $10,000 secret.
Now, I've seen people take this too far, for sure. I clicked on videos.
Yeah.
Like there was one where it looked like this giant factory was making this giant chocolate thing. And
like,
that's interesting. It wasn't that at all. There was no giant factory. There's no giant chocolate thing. That's makes me mad too. But sometimes there's something cut out where it's actually photoshopped. Like the person in the phone is not actually in the same picture, right? Or Mark Rober's baseball. I mean, even that one, like I guess that could bother some people because the baseball, it's broken up. It's not the exact one from the video. But we watched, multiple people here watch that video. I was talking about that and I said, that's not the baseball from the video. And I'm pretty sure you or Nathan, you said it isn't?
Yeah.
Because you watched the whole video and didn't realize that wasn't the baseball from the video. And when you do go back, the baseball from the video is super plain, but you only see it for a second. And the baseball still has some machinery in it to make it do this cool thing. So it doesn't matter that it doesn't burst open and look really crazy. Or maybe I was saying that the baseball in the video didn't even look like a baseball. They even have the red threads, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the baseball he's holding is totally fake, but somebody can watch the whole video and not even notice that because the clickbait isn't affecting kind of the result that you get from watching the video.
Yeah.
Hope that makes sense.
How come we didn't edit the thumbnail for the live? Well, we spent a ton of freaking time on the video for this morning and the thumbnail for this morning. And so we're here for you for the live.
Yeah.
And live streams for the most part. I don't know. We're not like so much worried about getting the click. The live stream is for you who know about us and are going to see it. And then later we may create a new thumbnail for it once we know like what was the most intriguing thing from the live. But since we're not planning the live, we don't know what's going to be the most interesting thing from this until it's over.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If you're planning a live well in advance and you have a concept for it, absolutely create a thumbnail, schedule in advance so people can click into it beforehand, set a reminder, all that stuff. Those are all good practices. But if you want to go live to help your audience, you don't necessarily have to wait until you have a perfect thumbnail. You can change the thumbnail afterwards.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we at?
I'm supposed to be watching over here.
Okay.
Data Ray.
All right.
Kino Lula's. Sorry, Data Ray. Someone says, what do you think of purposely making thumbnail bad quality to make it seem less studio vibes? That can work if you purposely make it bad, but also good.
Exactly.
It's tricky. It's very complicated.
You can make it look less studio quality, but the principles that we're talking about here are really important.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's overly complex and it doesn't pop out, I mean, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, but I think sometimes having a natural background compared to like a Canva blank background can look more natural. Like there are ways to make something look natural, but also steal what the better YouTubers are doing.
Correct.
With like they have really good lighting on them. And so for the most part, I'd say try to do what the studios are doing and it'll look a little bit more casual because you're not
right
a professional paid only to do thumbnails really, really, really well. And so if you shoot for the stars, you'll land on the moon and then it'll look natural. All right. We've seen your channel before.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm looking at this one. This not great privacy, right? You've got Apple and OpenAI. Those are logos that have become very familiar, especially to your audience. That's going to be super known. And I like the like Apple has been known for privacy, and now you're like saying not great privacy. I think the biggest thing is that because we have the big logos here and the way that the whole thing is framed, like that's where my eye's going. So then you on the other side and making your facial expression, it feels like we're adding another subject. And then I don't know if the facial expression is quite evoking like a strong emotion in me. If you wanted to, you could give like more emotion in your facial expression and make yourself the subject and have the logos be more of a secondary element. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to look at that one or a different one. I'm just that's the one I guess my eye went to several of these, but that's one that mine I went to. I like the negative space, the white.
I'm having trouble seeing you, and I'm not quite sure why because the lighting is not bad. At least you're kind of brightly lit. It might be the reflection in your glasses.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're straight on, like this top job is in 2025, I can still see your eyes. But you might want to either take off your glasses or just try to get a picture where there isn't a lot of glare. And then again, zoom in like this one where it's just from the almost just the chin up. Why OpenAI shared Strawberry with the feds.
Yeah, you're zoomed in a lot closer.
More. And you don't have to have yourself in every thumbnail. I guess you don't, but you could experiment with that some more. Like I can see this not great privacy Apple one being so intriguing that it wouldn't need to have you. And you know, your audience would probably click on it, whether they noticed it was you at first or not. A lot of your loyal audience, they're going to see it in their notifications. So they know that you posted, even if it's not you in the thumbnail. But yeah, I think that one is pretty good. I like how you cut yourself out with a white border. That's looking pretty nice. And so this car one, like we're contradicting ourselves because there's just so much nuance to thumbnails. It's exaggerated, right? No, there's not actually a car blowing up. So we keep saying to do stuff like that. But if it's too much of a leap, like to where it's almost an analogy, it can be confusing to where people's eyes who are interested in technology are going to skim right over that because it's a car and they don't notice that the topic is about something they're interested in. So it's like you want to find a balance, and you know, maybe the ChatGPT logo's on fire.
Right.
Would be better.
Yeah, the car is not quite.
No, but
I mean, maybe that's a Tesla, but I think that's a Tesla. But yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Any
awesome.
other thoughts?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
All right, who's next? Try to.
Kunal Lulaz.
Is that right?
Lulaz.
Oh, Lulaz.
Lulaz, yeah.
There's. All right. So on this screen, this one popped out to me. The bright colors, I think, did that. There are kind of a lot of elements here, though. But my eye was drawn right to the wheel.
Yeah, it's bright. I think it would stand out better with fewer elements on. You'd be able to tell what it is better. Like, I don't think you need the protein in the picture.
Yeah.
I think just the wheel, people are like, what's going on? And then they read the title. Giving away free protein to strangers.
Yeah, I think if you eliminated that little table with the protein on it, had the wheel a little bigger, I think having the line of people kind of helps because it's like there's all these people coming up here to spin this wheel, but they could be just a little bit out of focus or something, so that they're not distracting. But I agree. I would kind of increase the size of that wheel and remove the protein.
Maybe remove the people in the background too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little torn on that because the line of people kind of makes it feel like, oh, there's all these people lined up to spin the wheel. But
yeah,
but they're too in focus. They almost feel more in focus than you do.
I like that your shirt is bright yellow though.
Yes, that's true.
Makes you stand out nicely.
But it is true. Having all those people, it's just adding more complexity, more elements. So
would you have spin the wheel text in there?
I don't know that you need it. I didn't need it.
Yeah. When I see a wheel like that, I assume.
Yeah. A wheel with an arrow thing on it. Like, yeah, that's going to get spun.
I think that's a great exercise. It's just make your thumbnail concept, and then just ask yourself, what would happen if somebody saw this thumbnail without the words?
Right.
Would they still piece it together? Yeah, that's a really great one, though. I'd say almost like you did that. So try to make more like that because that's a style you were able to do that works with your niche. So it's almost like you have a good example on your own channel of what you're going for now, I'd say.
Yeah. I agree. you've got a lot of these kind of like, sort of challenge amongst people, your deadlift challenge, even the dater pass, all those kinds of things like, and training and eating. I think this kind of feel for thumbnails is pretty in line with what is going to work well.
Yeah. For those dater pass ones, it's already in the title. I would take out the text completely.
Yep.
And those so many different colors in the text it's just not very aesthetically pleasing. Makes the video look kind of more amateur than it probably is. I'd try to brighten up the image so people can see your reactions better. You can see her reaction better. And then maybe like a talk bubble, like if a woman said something kind of insulting or kind of funny, like a talk bubble of like not in a million years, or that's so many words, like never, or
that's right. If she said not in a million years, just say never.
Yeah, or you're ugly or something. She probably didn't say that. I'm sure nobody said that to you, but you know what I mean. Whatever's the most intriguing thing where people are really like, oh, it's juicy, right? And that's kind of that's your audience as they're clicking because they're wanting something funny and juicy. And yeah, so think of things like that. All right. DIY microbiology.
Ooh. Here we go. I'll go to the most recent.
Someone says, where can we find the recipe card? It's
I don't know that we've put it up yet because we just got it done like late last night.
Sorry.
It will be, so if you're Channel Makers Insider, if you're not yet, just go, it's free. Sign up. We'll post it in there today. So you'll be able to go grab it.
Yeah. Yeah, join Insiders. I'll give it to you. Sorry.
Exactly.
Okay.
So again, a wide array of kind of different things. Some of these are there's just way too much. Like this DIY PSB, like the words are the only real subject because this picture here is that's just background. So if that is intended to be the subject, but again, for most people, if I look at this, you have this, and I see a petri dish. It's like, okay, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I get that. That's the feeling I have. It's just like,
it's not actually. It's phrased as an intriguing question, but it's not.
Yeah.
Causing me to feel intrigued.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't see what it is, but deadly Japanese man-eating bacteria. That's also the wording there. Is the Japanese man what's deadly, or is it the bacteria?
Yeah. When you think about it, you realize it's the bacteria is killing Japanese men, but
right.
But it does take a second. It's confusing for a second.
So if in the photo you had somebody eating something and it was like oozing, like that would be a way more intriguing photo, even if that's not like a photo from the video. This is again where we're talking literal versus
make them look kind of washed out and and I would just say man eating.
Right. The Japanese
deadly Japanese makes me it's,
yep. It's like a samurai or something.
Yeah. And deadly man again, that's I would just say maybe man eating bacteria deadly. That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if you just had a man eating something that looked like it was oozing or gross, like bacteria infested.
Yeah, maybe it even has like, you could even have like that kind of death sticker.
Oh yeah,
I'm picturing
a poison sticker or something.
Poison sticker. Yeah, I'm picturing Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, like that. There you go. Yeah, it's just some perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that same thing, same approach for really all of these. I mean, here you're doing a little better, right? Poop on ATM, like that concept. Yeah, that's pretty gross. And so, I think you could work with that. Yeah, I think you could work with that. But these where I just see like bacteria, it's like to most people that does nothing for me. because I know there's bacteria on everything, but there's lots of bacteria that are totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yep.
All
Good
right.
idea. I like your idea of the person looking panicked. All right, next we have to find the right chat. Specs Media, SPEX.
All right, Specs Media, you are up. Okay.
Cody says the recipe card should have the 5 curiosity gaps instead of literal to exaggerated. Maybe so. Maybe we'll change it.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that'll be more clear.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. We're gonna see. This is part of why we haven't made it available yet. We're still
totally on purpose.
We're making it better, even, and actually, that is part of it. It's like we wanted to be able to test it with you and just see how this works and stuff before we just put something out there based off of what we think.
We did. That's true.
Okay. So I like that these are like they're not overly busy. You know what I mean?
The first one really caught my eye.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs the middle picture in it.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I have to get really close. Yeah, you could eliminate that entirely. So we mentioned that in the video. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I need to fill up the thumbnail with all these cool things, like details. Just let the negative space exist. That could just be dark.
Mm-hmm. For the frauds text, I'd make that white because the red is darker. It's very hard to see the frauds until you really look at it.
Yeah, so just make the letters, the actual font, turn that one white. I like that. What about, so I kind of like this too. You've got all these like words in the background. I don't need to really be able to read them. Like it's just kind of part of a very simple background. But if I do read them, like I can kind of get a feel for, you know, the tone of what you think about them.
These are all really good.
They are good thumbnails. I like this one with Steph Curry.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
All broken up.
Yep.
Everybody go look at Specs Media, and
these are good thumbnails.
These are good thumbnails, yeah. The scariest day in NBA history. I don't know. I like how simple the color palette is. I wonder if you could add a little bit of color somewhere to make it pop more, but it looks like newsy, it looks dramatic. It gives a feeling just with those colors, I think, is because you didn't do the right thing. It feels like something heavy. Your titles are pretty intriguing. Yeah, that complete story of the Warriors Dynasty one is incredible. It's so...
That's a really good one.
There's a lot going on, technically speaking, like each of those little boxes, but it looks simple when you step way back.
I see a little broken up image of Steph Curry, recognizable face for your target audience.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's like just visually interesting, even though you're not interested by the elements really, because you can't see what they are. It's a very good thumbnail.
Yeah.
And it has 8.7 thousand views. It's quite an outlier on your channel. So that I guess the other one has 11,016. But yeah, you're getting good views actually, mostly.
Nice.
This one you probably want feedback of us just saying you're great. Well, I guess we gave you feedback on the first one. The entire history of overseas NBA players. I know someone has fewer views than usual. Could be because of the video, but I don't see a main subject that really stands out. I mean, you could say the player's the main subject, but he's not very brightly lit compared to the black background. It just kind of blends in, so maybe brighten up that image a bit. The text is funny, but I don't think a lot of people are going to stop to read it because it's kind of long and nothing else in the thumbnail really grabs your eye. I would almost put that text as the title maybe instead. Similar, but maybe more funny.
If there's something from the video, something from the history of international NBA players that was particularly interesting or of note, then let's try to make a thumbnail that, again, evokes whatever, a curiosity for that element. I think that's the main thing, is I'm not getting a good curiosity element that I can identify quickly. I have to read it.
Oh, he says that one I changed like 20 times because it was performing bad.
Okay.
I think he's talking. I don't know when he said that. I think he's talking about the entire history one.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully
Yeah.
that helps.
Butter CMS.
Butter CMS 780.
There we go. Okay. So to me, it's kind of interesting that you've got, this cutting edge thing over on the right, but it's like cutting it off. Is maybe that's how it's supposed to be, because it's cutting edge, because none of the other words are cut off, only cutting edge. But to me, that catches my eye like it's an error. I don't know. And then you're kind of sticking to a template, which is, I guess, pretty common for kind of a podcast style.
A lot of
not sure.
text. You can't see the text.
Yeah.
You see the cutting edge, you can't see anything else, so it just adds visual clutter.
In fact, everything here on the right doesn't need to be there. It's repeated over and over again in videos, and it just doesn't need to be there. I think I would just, again, try to come up with a story for your thumbnail. What is it that you want to get across? An easy way to do thumbnails, if you're talking about a person or interviewing a person, is you just like make a template, put their face, the person who you interviewed's face, on there every time. And
maybe a talk bubble with something
yeah,
interesting.
and people do that a lot, and it's not amazing, but it's fine. You level that up further by, you showed this in the video, that one, like the Colin and Samir interview, where like they did 3 different versions of it over time, but each time like they just used a couple of words. It was the same video, they just changed the thumbnail. It was the same picture, same people, but they picked out like one thing from this whole long interview. Like, this is the point that we're gonna interest them with. And then when that one didn't do great, they were like, okay, well, let's pick another one. And then did that. And
it was like something like $15 million gamble, and then it was like
$15 million, like more like investment, like that kind of feel. I don't remember what the word was.
And then it was money ruined esports.
Yeah.
So it's like, would people know that's the same video? No. In fact, you saw it in the assets and you thought, why did they use the same people on 3 thumbnails?
I know. I was like, that's weird.
Yeah. So I'd look at Colin and Samir for podcast inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need your logo. And maybe the cutting edge. I'm a little confused on what's cutting edge versus the Butter CMS. Is the Butter CMS the brand and the cutting edge is the name of the podcast? Maybe if you could make that a little more cohesive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says cutting edge web content development, but yeah. Okay.
I mean, maybe that's a software, customer management.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Good colors though. I like the dark blue and the yellow.
And it's good to keep a color scheme. Again, you could look at Colin and Samir and see what they're doing, and you'll see they have a consistent color scheme, consistent font, and all of that. So it's a good start.
Waves and games. Now you've been waiting a while. Thank you.
All right. Okay, this very first one here, 37 life lessons from video games. Mario taught me. I think that's kind of an interesting, like, what did Mario teach you? I think Mario's too small and hard to see. Like, I would like Mario to be a bigger subject, I think. I don't know.
Maybe instead of you in this case.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have yourself in the thumbnails, but sometimes we have to pick, like sometimes there's too many elements and we ask this all the time, like, should we have ourselves in it?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we decide there's too many elements to put ourselves in a particular thumbnail. So,
Yeah. What if it was just like Mario, like totally digital Mario, but like very plain background. Mario's bigger, but he's like looks like a teacher.
yeah.
Or like there's a chalkboard. Like you've got this Mario with his hands out because he's about to fly, but he's got a piece of chalk, you know, or something like that was just big. And then people would see that and be like, what? And then they would look at the title, 37 life lessons or things I learned from Mario or something like that. That could just be an interesting, there's just kind of intriguing. Like, why is Mario teaching math or whatever? I don't know.
For some reason, Mario Taught Me is more intriguing to me than 37 life lessons from Mario or from video games. 37 is more, so it seems like that would be more interesting. But usually when there's one thing, it like gets me more. And the video could still have 37 things.
Yeah.
But people might be more likely to click if it's like Mario taught me this. Well, there's 37 other video games. It's not actually just about Mario, but that's okay. It can be just Mario in the thumbnail, like you already did here.
But then just Mario in the title too, like
maybe
like
yeah.
The life lesson Mario taught me,
Yeah. Or you could make a whole video about that.
It's true.
And then get more videos out of it. Make it a series. Make it episodic. That sounds familiar. I want to give you credit to go like with this thumbnail. The text stands out really well.
Yep.
You're lit well. If you did that format for another kind of video without Mario in it at all, with so fewer elements, that could look good. The colors are good. Like I like the yellow with your blue shirt.
Yeah.
I think as far as which one catches my eye, that's definitely the first one on your channel. So
yep.
Not far off there. This Pokemon one is kind of cool. Remaking Pokemon sounds with my mouth. That looks pretty good.
Could you like having the Pokemon logo and stuff there? It makes it probably really intriguing for people who are interested in Pokemon. I'm wondering if it's like, what if it was similar to this? Like you there, a mic here, and on the other side of the mic is a Pokemon. I don't know. And then you wouldn't have any words. I don't know. Just trying to think. But I think it's a good thumbnail. Just kind of playing around with ideas.
Yeah. Okay, Summer Beauty. We'll try to get to yours by the end and you can rewatch it later. Thanks for being here. I'm Max and I'll teach you English.
All right, I guess we'll go to, then we can get most recent. Okay. It's a lot of words in most of these, really.
And I don't know if it so imagine somebody's trying to find your channel. Because at this point, you're still looking for a lot of new audience, right? You want to make your old audience happy, but as long as they're not unhappy, you're really looking to grow your audience. So like there's 96 days left in 2024. If I don't know you, if I haven't set goals about language learning while I've been watching your channel, 96 days left in 2024. Okay. It doesn't it doesn't really make me think of I'm running out of time to learn English or what are you teaching? Yeah, English.
That's a good point. It's like, yeah, you're right. That's a fact. There are 96 days left, or there were a month ago.
I also wonder, if these should be in English, if people know English well enough, like how beginner is your audience? Because if they're really beginner,
That's a good point.
They might struggle to read an English thumbnail. And it's still fine to have tons of English in your videos, but if they're scrolling and of course, you probably have maybe a large audience that speaks a lot of different languages, so English might be your only option. But
but if that's the case, then maybe we rely less on words for the thumbnails.
Yeah. Good point. Good idea.
Again, it can be tough because a lot of times the things that you're talking about are hard to show just visually. I get that. So, but the more often, like the main thing you've got here is photo of a person and then words to say what it's about. But the photo of a person oftentimes is not really showing a lot of emotion or anything. And I don't know.
Yeah.
So the images aren't popping.
Yeah. I do think that one pops though more than most of them.
Yes, it did.
I would take out that above, that text above. I've been staring at this
English.
for minutes, and yeah, I can't even see.
Yeah.
If I was close to the computer, I could see it, but you're not going to see it before you click. Nobody's going to see that while actually going on the homepage. Adds clutter.
And you've got that like on almost every thumbnail. This heroic English check, and
just take
I
that
don't think
off.
you need that at all.
The subtext in gray and how to get to C2 English 2025.
Right.
It's already saying that in the title, even if it wasn't. That text isn't worth it because no one's going to read that while they're just scrolling the homepage. This polyglot wisdom one, again, it's like, do people learning English know the word polyglot?
Right. Good point.
So maybe simpler words. Like I've seen a lot of language channels do really simple words. Maybe they'll show like apple, pear, and maybe there's like an X next to banana or something because it's different in another language, or like some rule or something. That's a wild example, but I'd say look at what other language channels are doing because it's a tricky space for sure.
That's true. Yeah, maybe look at what some of the, I don't know, the most viewed English teaching videos are doing, or language learning videos in general, to try to get an idea for better imagery. The facial expressions aren't going to do a lot to show a lot here because it's language learning. But I think to your point, like some of the lists of simple words or even the icons of the words, that people are learning, things like that make it clear, oh, this is language learning, but to illustrate whatever point you're making for the video too.
No, adds a little intrigue.
Yeah.
And just fewer words. Even if this was a channel that's in everyone's native language who's watching it wasn't a language learning channel, still fewer words. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yes, it's me tools.
With a Z. Okay.
You've been on the list for a long time. Nathan didn't skip you. Just finally got to it. I was wondering if he was getting skipped.
Yeah, and that's part of it is like we're spending some real time on these, so we're not going to be able to get to as many. But hopefully by going in depth, you can apply these things to your own channels. Yeah.
You're welcome, Max. You guys are doing great. We're being critical because that's the point of helping you. But
right.
I don't want to be discouraging.
Wouldn't be helpful if we're like, oh yeah, that's nice, nice job. Good photography skills. Okay. So in one way, it's kind of nice that there's a really similar format each time. But like, you got this little, yes, it's me tools kind of written up in the top corner in each one. Nobody's going to read that. Weekly vlog, I don't know that you need that either. And then where you've got like 2 images each time, I don't know. To me, that's, unless it's like a comparison or a transformation or something, I don't know. It just kind of.
You usually don't need it. I'm a guest on the Bachelor Reality TV one. That looks kind of nice. It almost looks like you're looking at what's happening there or something.
Yeah.
Gives more context, but for most of these, I think the 2 images is too much. Yeah.
It just splits my focus. I don't know where to look.
Aiming for one main subject.
Yes.
If you watch the video.
That's probably like my biggest takeaway here is there's just too much going on. The images are really good. Like good photos, but there's too much going on in most of these pictures for me to focus. And then again, we want to create some sort of curiosity gap. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to say on that one?
You could pop things out. So even though you're not the one taking these pictures, you can still cut out the background.
Right.
Maybe desaturate it a bit or change the tone a little bit so that the subject pops a little more, add a drop shadow. You don't want to go overboard with it. It can look kind of tacky or even unrealistic when you're trying to do a vlog. But a subtle thing, or even in them blowing up the image is bigger, I'd say. Like, you don't need to show the whole image. Even on that Best Reality Show one, like, would it be a problem if it was just showing her from maybe the waist up or the chin up?
It's closer.
Yeah. Maybe enough to see her interesting dress, but for the most part, we don't need the whole image. So just making and just think about what pops. Like on this, a couple of them, it's just like the colors it's just hard to see what's going on in the image. So
yeah, and that's part of it too, is because the images, there's so much going on, you're ending up with a really complex color palette. So if as much as possible, if we can desaturate that background or filter it a little bit, that's going to help the subject pop more.
Yeah,
that's good. All right.
Okay, QFOTOLENS. Q photo lens.
Oh,
with an F.
What is that? And then that makes sense now. Okay. I'm imagining we're going to have some really good looking photos. Oh yeah.
A lot of elements, again, which distracts from your ability to take great photos.
Yeah. I would love to see you be able to stand out more from the background. So the photos here look great, these photos with you in them, but the background is so dark that you, especially on looking at it, the left side, you're kind of blending into it because your shirt's like the same color as the green.
It's tricky depending on how well lit you are. It's right. Like sometimes people blend into the background and you think, well, you want a darker background, but if the image of you is also dark, then the background doesn't. But if you add more light, I mean, you're a photographer, you know how to add light, or maybe that wouldn't look great if you added more light. But in which case, you just need the background to contrast somehow. It could be maybe even like a blue color, or or a light background can work.
Yeah, and some of these, there are kind of too many pieces. You've got like, you got these lenses, you got two lenses in your hands, and then one down here that's crossed out, and a price, and eyeballs, and then best 50 millimeter alternatives. A lot of that, like the 50 millimeter detail, that can just be in the title. Best alternatives to the Nikon 50 millimeter f 1.4. Like that kind of stuff can be in the title. That's fine.
Sometimes just showcasing the one thing you're talking about, either the one technique, in which case you might blow up a photo really big and like zoom in with like a red circle or magnifying effect kind of to show this is the technique you get from this. Or if you're showcasing the gear, Marquez Brownlee does this where he'll often show just the gear and he's not on the thumbnail.
Yep.
What's significant about that is he's like the biggest tech reviewer on YouTube. So him on the thumbnail is a very valuable thing. People recognize him. They know they like his videos. They know who he is. They're more likely to click because he has authority and trust built. And still, he knows when to compromise and not have himself on the thumbnail because it's more important to have one main subject. He's on a lot of the thumbnails too. And I think it's good that you are on some of the thumbnails, but you don't always have to be. You can kind of choose sometimes.
I was just thinking about that. Like, we've done thumbnails before for gear where you lay them out on a table and you get the lighting and stuff good and you take a photo. But like that is, you could have these three lenses on a table and one of them's crossed out. Like that could be the intrigue.
And you can take a great picture because you know how to do that.
Exactly. What if you like laid them all out and one of them you were kind of like tipping it a little bit, like in chess when you win you can knock over the king or whatever, like you were tipping one over, or it's just X'd out. Like that could be enough curiosity because they don't know which one you crossed out,
Mhm.
but they are seeing that you're comparing them. And there was something about one of them that you are crossing out.
Totally. Cool.
Yeah, I could see that being really good. All right, who's up?
Summer
Summer.
Beauty. She left, but she was here for a while, so
Yeah.
we can get to her and hopefully she can watch the replay. You're on the right track, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Photo lenses.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you got it. Okay. Oh, those are pretty good.
These are. See here, we've got this curiosity gap, this kind of before and after.
Mhm.
If anything, I would like that to take up a little bit more of it because it took me a second. Because at first I noticed the not smooth hair, but then I see suspiciously smooth. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh no, look, on the other side, it's smooth. It took me just a second too long.
You might not need any of those. You could just have you with the before and after.
Yeah. Just the
And-
center of the thumbnail, just you,
Yeah.
your face before and after.
And
then
not the
it could
text
stand
before
out
and
more.
after. Maybe just
Yeah.
let them notice it.
Yes.
I
think that's great. Like the hair's parted right in the middle. You don't need like the whole like little border line between, because it's just like one side's smooth, the other side's frizzy.
So for the stop this one, like that is technically intrigue. And I think that used to work better. Now I almost think people need more detail because they see that so much of like, you're not, it's like vague intrigue, right? Where you're like saying, don't do this, but it's almost like if you could be a little more specific, like, trying to think of like, how to curl your, like never turn clockwise, or
say that again.
I was saying never turn clockwise, like maybe the direction you're turning the iron. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what your tip is, but just trying to think of an example. What are you saying?
Oh, I was just, yeah, I don't know.
Just something slightly more specific, or
other than just stop this.
yeah.
The other thing is I don't think you need to be on the thumbnail twice.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think the you on the side pointing actually adds to this.
Mhm.
Like the kind of before and after, or the two different styles transitions, not so much a before and after, but a comparison, right? This versus that. I
Yeah.
think that could be the main thing. And then yeah, instead of stop this, maybe it's just something that's just a little bit more, again, because we've got stop this in 3 different thumbnails at this on this screen right now.
Mhm.
Like it's an easy thing, but yeah, maybe something a little bit more.
Yeah. Like if it's the secret power of knowing your hair type, what's the most intriguing thing about that? Is it like some people should never use conditioner? I don't know. If it is, maybe like don't use conditioner or use heat. Something that's like counterintuitive, where someone's thinking, I thought that's the opposite of what I was supposed to do. But depending on their hair type, this versus that one, you have like a couple luxury and then a couple drugstore. I would do just like one of each. I don't think you need so many.
Good point.
I do like your yellow shirt and the gray background. I think that pops really nicely.
That does.
With the secret to fixing dry damaged hair, that's an intriguing visual. Like it looks a million times better. I would just have those 2 images. I don't think you need you in it. It's maybe too much. It's fine, but don't. And then no arrows or text. The transforming your hair just disappears. It takes too long for people to see.
Yeah.
More negative space would be good. I like the perfect cut for your round or square face shape. That's pretty good. I would do less text, but
I was gonna say, do we need the text because you've got the face and you've got the circles and squares?
yeah. If people can piece it together without the text, don't use the text.
Right.
Unless the text adds a really intriguing question that they wouldn't have thought of by the picture.
This is like one of the most important things that I hope people get from our video today. Your thumbnail doesn't have to fully explain the video. You know, so if like you're just pointing out these square shape and round shape and people are like, what does that mean? You know?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, which am I? Like, And they don't even know that you're going to talk about the right haircut for them until they read the title. But you just need enough curiosity there that they want to read the title and then click into the video. So I think you could get away with not putting any of those words there.
Mhm.
And then you might have a little more space even to, I don't know, to make those elements a little bigger, or just have a little bit more negative space.
Yeah.
Cool.
Analytical Ayush, Ayush.
We want, there it is. All right.
Someone says, oops, my bad. I didn't know this analysis wasn't for faceless channels. My apologies for wasting everyone's time. See you guys later. I'm not sure if that's sarcastic or not. We are doing all channels. Maybe we missed yours. Sorry.
Okay. Eric Brenner says, looks too busy. Yep. A lot of these are, especially like this most recent one, it is good. Like you made this subject to pop from the background, even though the back, like you, again, kind of put a translucent colored filter over the back to make this pop. But one thing I see people do a lot is like you wrote relevant again and relevance in front. So maybe I read that first. It makes more sense to read relevant again, but again is above relevant. So my eyes actually read again, relevant. And so that is kind of a mental confusion there. And then I don't know.
And so for that one, aside from the text, also, like I like the purple transparent kind of, but I would just have no people back there.
Yeah.
Even if it's kind of a purple transparent over like a gray or something, but the people makes it more busy than it needs to be. That one is probably your best one, though, would you say?
I agree. Yeah. It's definitely stands out the most to me.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones do have just too many things. So like this next one, you got these words, you've got this arrow, you've got a person there in the background and another person behind, like you've got a little black silhouette, but then another person behind that. And then you got two other people here that are different saturation and color temperatures. And there's just a lot of different things going on.
Mm-hmm. With the no kids one, like I don't think you need the fake baby there. Because it just adds to it, and like no kids is.
Yeah.
The king again crowned one is better.
Yeah, it's way less complicated. Even though there are people in the background, they don't stand out to me because you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
It's way less transparent, the coloring you did over the top. Again, if you really wanted to do that on the relevant again one, you could just make it even less transparent so that the background almost looks more like texture than faces.
Mm-hmm.
Our eyes are drawn to faces. Like evolutionarily, that is a thing. When we see faces, whether it's a human face or an animal face or whatever, like we're supposed to be able to recognize other faces. And so when there's a face, our eyes are going to go to it. So having too many faces can be a major mistake.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Says noted, thanks. All right. We're to the end of Nathan's list.
Okay.
How long do we want to go for?
Whatever you want to do.
Let's do a couple more. Let's do Rhinos Ink Gaming.
Okay. So here's an example where you've got, at least for these most recent 5 videos, you've got kind of a template that's going to make it recognizable to people who've seen you before, but where you're not kind of stuck on the imagery too much. Like you can have different images each time. I think it's not that you have a ton of words, but the words are very much the focus, like they are the main subject. So even though you've got these images here that, I don't know, what it's not doing for me is, again, the imagery isn't creating a curiosity gap for me. It's more like, here's something about the subject of the video, an image that, here's a switch, cool, and then level up. Oh, okay, so there's upgrades for the switch coming. Okay, and then needed switch 2 upgrades. I don't know, maybe that one gives me a little bit of a curiosity gap. It does. The concept there, like there are these upgrades that I need to make for the switch. That I get. Like there's now, I want to know what are they are, or what are they? What are they? I'm tripping up over words. What are the upgrades that I need to make? So that's kind of your curiosity gap. Is there a way that we could evoke that in just the image? Is there a way that we could, anyway, just kind of level up that curiosity? Some of these, like Genshin coming to Switch 2, question mark. The fact that there's a question mark gives me some curiosity, because if there was no question mark, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for the news.
Mm-hmm. So it's like the second part of the tortilla chip. Like I would say this fulfills the first part of the tortilla chip really well. Like I looked over and immediately they pop on the screen.
Yeah, the bright colors.
Then you have to add the intrigue.
Yeah, that's what we really need. Is we just need to create the curiosity gap. So I would watch that video and look for those 5 different ways to create curiosity gap that we talked about, and just think about, for these videos, what could I do, and then how could I do that visually as much as possible without words, and then just use words to enhance it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more. For autism, 4 is just the letter number.
Okay.
The letter 4.
The letter 4. Okay.
Without he just typoed before. I'm not seeing it. One word maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
I just had to get rid of the space. Okay. Something about the text isn't quite doing it for me. I think maybe it's your line heights feel odd. It's like you're trying to fill the vertical space. Obviously, we talked about other things regarding words and even the colors on them and stuff. It makes it, I don't know.
The words kind of pop, but I don't want them to.
Right.
Like I don't know.
Is it the colors are kind of, or the colored words are kind of clashing with the blue to me, and
you're blending into the background.
Yeah.
Like right before when you typed in for autism, like this one stands out to me. She has too many words for sure, but it's bright. She looks friendly. I mean, you look friendly too, but we just don't see you right away. It's not the main subject. For her, I'd say get rid of all the words, and then she has a lovely picture, and people want to know what she has to say. So maybe if you do something a little more natural like that, especially with a topic like this, you want it to look like kind of relatable, kind of cozy. Like we're gonna sit down and have a conversation about autism, whereas this looks a little bit different.
Yeah, I think that's right.
More of a natural color palette.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope that's somewhat helpful.
So. Yeah, I think so. Again, so much of this really kind of just depends on your topic, all of that stuff, because in some cases I would say absolutely, like, let's just take a photo, let's compose the whole thing like you've done here. But for your topic, it might be better if it just feels more like a more natural environment kind of photo. Just make sure that you can stand out from your background in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
what is this about? Am I lost on the subject?
I'm assuming to me, it seems like they're doing things like for autism. So like here, like kiting for autism, like
like
awareness and
fundraiser.
fundraising
Okay,
and
I
stuff like
see.
that. I think
Yeah, so maybe not. What I said is wrong.
maybe not quite as homey. Maybe, I don't know. Some of these too, though, like the messaging of the story of the thumbnail is a little bit confusing. Here I've got like these
Kiting
words.
for Autism Project. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
We've got recycled flags and a light bulb, and like I'm not. Is the light bulb representing an idea? But that's like such a realistic type looking light bulb that it's not like an ideal light bulb. It's like a actual light bulb. I don't know.
It's too confusing. I know we kept saying your thumbnail doesn't have to tell us what the video is about, but the thumbnail has to tell a story, and that thumbnail by itself is confusing. It's confusing what the thumbnail's even trying to say, let alone what it says about the video.
I think that's what it is.
I know it's so hard.
It's like there's got to be one thing, like one feeling and like one story that the thumbnail's telling that's simple enough that I can get it quickly. This like spinning flag tube 4K with the stars here. Like again, I don't.
He says the bulb is indeed an idea.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's where we're having a hard time is like, it makes sense to you because you know the video, you know all the different pieces, but especially the visual aspects. And then again, words should support whatever the visual is, but it needs to tell me one singular story, one curiosity element, something like that.
He says, back to the drawing board for me. You got this.
You got this. Yeah.
Look at other channels. Try to notice what other thumbnails are doing. And
yeah,
it takes a lot of studying.
They look nice. I mean, your photos look nice. Everything looks, there's a lot that you're doing well, but it's, now we need to get a little bit into the psychology of it. Like, what's going to make somebody stop and look at it, but then also be curious and want to click in? Yeah. I think, yeah, you're
rotating sidebar. It's some kind of extension that's making my life difficult.
Oh,
scrolling. Unrelated. Okay. Generations of Beauty. Then we're going to do Dr. Sideways Z, Shally Tech, and maybe Cheese Slope. And then I think we'll be done.
You said Generations Beauty or Generations of Beauty?
Generation of. I think. Let me see. I think it was Generation of Beauty. I'm not sure.
Oh, Generations
of Beauty.
Generations of, okay.
The Generation Beauty one looked good though, so maybe if you're not her, go look at hers. Generation.
It's not coming up. Is that the handle too? Like one word?
Let me go to the channel and find out. Generation of Beauty, one word, yeah.
This is kind of annoying, especially if you're still kind of small on YouTube. Like you can search. Oh, there we go. You can search it and it can still be really hard to find, even though you're like searching the exact words that are the name of the channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get to the rest of them who have commented, but we're cutting it off now. So
yeah,
no more. You can comment if you want to. We're not going to answer you. We're not going to check your
We're not going to have time to look at your channel.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
But join the challenge, the on-camera challenge, and maybe if you really want to ask a thumbnail question.
Okay, so there's a few videos here.
Oh, I've seen you before.
To me, the words actually do give it a little bit of, like, the words are what's giving me curiosity. You know, beauty of running, society labels women. This one in particular, it's confusing. You've got this woman talking, and then she's like, "It's confusing him," and I'm like, "Well, what's confusing?" And I want to know. In this one, I feel like she blends in a little too much to the background.
I know.
She's a little too dark. So if you could just do a cutout and then lighten the subject a little bit more.
Or even a drop.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say drop shadow, but like a white drop shadow.
Uh-huh.
Because the background is dark, so that would make her pop more.
Yeah.
Something just so, yeah, she stands out. And I like that they're simple.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I think that's good because it draws the attention to the subject. Just a few words.
I wonder if there's a way to make it more intriguing, even using the thumbnail. Like we got this, the pressure to be a nurturer, Indian woman 37. Maybe, like, does she have a really crazy story where she's like, my mom stopped talking to me? Maybe it wasn't that dramatic or something, but
Right.
is there a little piece of that story where you could highlight that, even in the title or the thumbnail, and say something like, you know, rejection, or
Yeah.
to really highlight what happened, not just here's a fact, here's a statement. That's kind of
right. Yeah. So like here I mentioned it's confusing. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's vague enough that I'm kind of curious. Society labels women as a statement. It's like, yeah, yep. You know, like to me, like I'm not super curious about the video because of that. But if it was just something like, you know, I was rejected or I felt rejected or I don't know, like something around that, because it was a piece of the video would potentially intrigue me more. Yeah.
cool. Okay. Dr. Sideway Z.
Spelled out doctor or DR?
Just DR. DR period.
Okay,
Sorry.
DR.
More specific. Sideway.
WAYZ. Like
yes.
that. Dr. Sideways.
There you are. Just find one that stands out.
Okay. We got 12 here. What pops the most?
That one popped to me. So the easy, you can't tell what I'm pointing at.
Yeah, sorry. It says the one on the left. It says easy.
How to hone your Duramax at home.
Another one that popped fairly well for me was this blown Duramax bottom end rebuild. I think this.
The verses one stood out to me when you first typed in the channel.
Yeah. Yep. What is it about this other one on that line that makes it not stand out as much? Because it's also the honing on a dime. So basically that whole row stood out more than the ones around it to us. But for some reason, not as much that one. And I'm trying to figure out why.
The check mark blends into the background.
Yeah.
The flex hone is just...
Is it just not interesting enough of a subject?
I think so. And it's kind of a busy box. Like there's a lot, it's hard to sort of see and yeah.
Yeah, I could see. I think so. I think and if you're gonna use that box, I don't know, I might use I might even do like a black background or something. I don't know.
Or is there a way to get that across without the box? Like,
I think it would be better to not do the box.
Cylinder honing for under 100. How could you visually convey that without the box?
Right. I mean, your target audience is going to know what cylinder honing is. So can we, I don't know, it's a good way to visually represent the cylinder honing, right? And ideally, hopefully that it worked, but then the feeling of cheap, like inexpensive.
Yeah. And so my first thought thinking about this was like, could you have like less than symbol than 100? You don't actually have to do that. Whatever you spent in the video, if it was $98 or $74, even if it will cost up to $100 for most people, you can say that in the video. So this is for under $100. In the thumbnail, you can put what it costs you.
Yeah.
Which would be like whatever, a specific number, $89, and then point to what you're doing. And
yeah. Yeah, and as long as whatever it is, like, I mean, even like for this box, right? What if the angle you showed was the top of the box where it just says flex zone, like instead of the side that's got all the small text? I don't know. But if you were just holding the box here, pointing to it like this, and the box is closer to the camera than you, and it was like she said, $89. I don't know. Yeah. Something like that might pop a little bit more.
Let's do Shally Tech. SHALLY. Mm-hmm. I like to stop this one. I would do white text maybe.
Yeah, that's too dark.
But I like the picture. You're nice and well lit.
See, and then I read the title, and now I'm like, oh, I need to go watch that video.
Yeah, good job. I like the 3 years later one with the iPhone. That's a lot of negative space used well.
Yes, it is.
Think you maybe add more mystery to it? Maybe not even to the thumbnail, but to the title or something. Like why it's still worth it. When was the 13 Pro? 4 years ago? I don't know. Why it's still worth it 4 years later.
Yeah. I'm still using a 12 Pro. I'm old school.
I think I've got the 11.
Oh, maybe I'm not as old school as I thought.
The 2020 worth it one is good.
It is. Yep.
There's some good thumbnails, really.
So what about this iPhone event? Because that's the imagery that Apple uses, like immediately recognizable. But to me, that makes it look like it's Apple made this video.
I know, it looked like an ad almost.
Yep.
And especially on the home screen. Like if you're on somebody's page, you know it's not an ad, but on the home screen.
I'm going to skip it because I feel like it's an ad. So the same thing in the video for today, there were some comments on the video about how some of the thumbnails that stood out most to people were some of the news ones that I didn't say stood out. And they're like, yeah, how about the one about the hurricane? Like, of course that stands out. Yes, visually, but it looks like news. So if I'm not currently looking for news, my eyes skip right over it. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that it was about a hurricane because it was like, it's just news. There's always news in the feed. And unless I want news, I'm skipping it. So again, if you're somebody who's inclined to pay attention to news in your YouTube feed the most, then that's what's going to stand out to you. But I wouldn't make my YouTube thumbnails about other things look like news thumbnails. Just like in this case, I don't know that I would want to use Apple's imagery because it makes it feel like an ad or just a paid video that Apple put out there. Yeah. Sweet.
Dr. Sideways Z says, the stop this is awesome. The red is a bit hard to read on my phone, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. You're right about the Pro one. It subconsciously makes me glance over. Exactly. So much of this is subconscious. So you might think, well, it doesn't have the ad label. So like people know it's not an ad or they know my channel name, but it's subconsciously, we're in the habit of avoiding ads.
That's the thing, is the thumbnail is supposed to get them to stop scrolling long enough to pay attention to some of those details.
Yeah.
If they scroll right past it because the thumbnail looks corporate or whatever.
For some reason, I do like your older ones better than the more recent ones. So like both of these rows I like better than this top row. Even the third one. It's almost like your last 4 or so. Like who is the culprit? That one, I would take out the emojis.
Yeah.
Maybe I think the natural background kind of looks nice for tech reviews where it's like actually even if you're not in the image, like the 3 years later one, it looks like it's actually in a house or something.
Right.
Instead of a cutout.
Totally.
And then what's inside, I just can't tell what's going on, where the subject is.
And this is hard because it's a camera but it's dark and it blends into the dark background.
Mhm.
I think that's a big part of it. Maybe if you had a little hair light on it, so it would kind of have a kind of a halo or something
Mhm.
around it. If you were going for a really natural look, you could do that. You could take another light and shine it almost a little bit from behind, kind of dim, and it will just kind of create a natural light border.
Yeah.
That could work, but it's just, yeah, it's really hard to tell what it is. Yeah.
Says, thank you so much. You're welcome.
Yeah, you bet. Was there one
Where
more
are
you
we?
said?
We had 2 more at least.
2 more. Okay.
Cheese Slope Productions.
You got it. Cheese Slope. There's a Lego dude as the icon, so it's already looking good to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
This is fun.
Here's what you guys think in the comments. Which ones stand out to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll leave these 8 kind of.
Okay. It's just the channel art is fire.
Yeah.
Dr. Sideways Z, it is.
Lego trick shot. Like, look at this. They even kind of look like the Dude Perfect guys.
So great.
Like,
That's
I don't
great.
know. And you didn't need any text on there. The Lego guys, they're emotive enough. Like, there's enough emotion. Like, and then he's holding the ball or pumpkin or whatever that was, but it's a ball. I don't know. Like, I think that's a good thumbnail.
Mhm.
You've got the background really blurred, so the subjects are popping pretty well.
On the Lego corn maze one, I wonder if you cut them out and like
Yeah.
maybe add like a sort of halfway transparent background, like in a slightly different tone, like bluish or something.
Right.
Even if in the video it's not like that.
Because they kind of blend in too much.
Yeah, I think so. I like that picture, how close up they are though.
Yes. If you cut them out and then kind of darken the background or something. So cut them out with the things they're holding, including that one ear of corn. That one ear of corn blends in too much. Like, every time I hover over it, obviously it moves. But he's holding an ear of corn, and I want that ear of corn in his hand to still kind of pop out. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool. And then the background could be just a little bit darkened.
Dr. Sideways Z says the Lego trick shot stands out.
Yeah. There's the tree. Yeah, he says there's that tree in the background. It's an interesting background, but it's blurry enough that it's not distracting. Yeah. And then the behind the scenes setup and animation, that's fun too. Like, because you're showing like this interesting thing where like there's the stick holding the ball and how you did that. And so, you're kind of showing this little scene set up there. To me, that's interesting. If anything, it's just a little too small. I might make the little guy a little bit bigger, but I like the cool depth, right? So you've got the ball here close up and then the stick going back to the ring light further away.
It could just be bigger, like zoom in.
Yeah. Just get that to be a little bigger.
Dr. Sideways Z says the Lego grocery store, I can't make out the background is, so it distracts me and makes me try to figure out what it is versus the foreground. We got one more question. Can we still participate? I said we're cutting it off, but I want to do your...
You want to do it anyway?
Kind of.
Okay.
We'll see. Let's see. Where were we at? I think we're... Okay. Venterium Explorium.
And then one more?
And then one more.
Okay.
And we're done. Don't want anyone to miss out.
Yeah.
And go, welcome. Cheese Slow Productions. Funny name too.
Yeah.
You can get comfortable on camera in 10 days. And you can get in the community like, not today. We don't have it set up yet.
Yeah, it's set.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, you can get in
there
today.
and you go find yourself an accountability buddy like right now.
Yeah.
you can start.
Yeah,
And
maybe
but then we'll have the challenges will start dropping a week from Monday. So you got another week to kind of get in there, start chatting with other people, find a buddy to be accountable to, and then we'll go live that day.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh, I like the topic. Makes me want to go have fun.
Right.
Okay, so for me, I think I'm probably your target audience. I know I'm your target audience. Just think the doorway, like the ones where the doorway pops. Nice thing to say for a black rectangle. It makes me want to go there and find out what's inside that hut or whatever. So I love abandoned places. So I really like the ones where it has that kind of obvious doorway. Even this top left one where it says look inside with the arrow, the doorway doesn't pop. Like it doesn't pop out because you don't see it as much, and it makes it less like tempting to run in there and see what you find. What do you think?
I think that's my problem with that one. So the one right next to it, all the stone on the outside is light, and so the rectangle is dark. Like it makes the entryway pop more.
Which is hard to do depending on the location.
It can be. I mean, you've got shadows from trees and stuff, but finding the right angle.
You can increase saturation and post.
That's true. Try to brighten some things up a little bit. Yeah.
And I would try with your 19th century, 18th century. Like that's different, but is there something really crazy about it that about the history or about what you liked best about it, or something that's just a little extra intriguing, more mystery?
Yeah.
Like how did they build it or something, or it's where, like maybe one of them is really hard to get to, or someplace where you wouldn't have thought somebody would build a hut in the 18th century, and it's adding intrigue. Not necessarily on the thumbnail. You might want the thumbnail just a picture with no words, but in the title.
Yeah. I think so too. I think these thumbnails without words on them are probably just fine. We just want to try to make the most intriguing part. Like if the door doesn't pop, it just kind of looks like a wall or a structure.
Right. Dr. Sideways Z makes a really good point. It says second row, first one pops. And then it has enough light on the opening that it shows depth to the opening.
Yes.
That's so true. Yeah.
Yep.
The white text is really hard for me to read on my phone. but I'm on lunch break. Okay. Last one. I think we're in the last one.
It was down there. That one.
LUGHNAHSH.
Oh, I need to find.
I think this is the longest live thumbnail review we've done. Those look really nice. They're great.
Yeah, visually, like they're all able to stand out because there's a simple, focused subject. The main thing would just be trying to see if we can create some curiosity gap with the image. So we got the top of the tortilla chip, and we just need to try to I don't know. Any thoughts on what you would do?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was a photography channel or something.
Right.
The images look really good, but we need to compel them to click.
Right.
I'm curious what other manifestation channels are doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I would do in a thumbnail to.
The magic of Neville Goddard manifestation techniques. The thumbnail says you'll never be the same. It has him on it, the speaker on it. That channel's Aaron Dottie, if you want to look at it.
Lots of words on some of these.
A lot of things like kind of saying what the result is. Like
That's
this is
good
saying the
point.
greatest spiritual law teaches us that we make the first move. These are saying like quick way to make good things happen, or I know maybe that feels clickbaity, but your content can be more meaty than just a quick tip. Once I understood how manifestation works, my life changed. The result was the life changed.
Yes.
You'll never be the same. Pass these 2 tests and it has no choice but to manifest. It's like less on the nose, a little bit more hyped up. Guide to manifest whatever you want. Change your life forever. I'm sorry that clickbait is what works. I know.
Unfortunately,
it's
humans are humans, and we
yeah.
click on predictable things.
You don't have to go so far on that. Like, don't go as further than you're comfortable, but
Yes.
Figure out where the line is and then go more that direction.
Yeah.
To where you still feel like you're being honest and you're being genuine, but it can be a little bit more marketed.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. Hope that's helpful. Go join the challenge. We're going to get comfortable on camera together.
That's right.
Someone says maybe you could create a branding style with the same background and add more light for greater exposure. All right.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Like she said, go join the challenge, and we'll see you there as well. And y'all are great.
Yeah. Welcome. See you guys.